Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Rob's Rig. So what's the best trim level to choose for the Jeep Wrangler if you're going to be using it primarily, which most do, only about 6% actually ever go into four-wheel drive. But anyway, if you're going to be using the Jeep primarily as a daily driver, it's a good question because there are a ton of different trim levels with different options and things that you can choose from, right? I mean, you go to the dealership, and this is what's still good about Jeep. They've got a row typically of different trim levels, different bodies, as far as options and things and stuff like that. So I thought I'd go out and ask that question and see what kind of a response I get, and then if I actually agree with it. Now, the Jeep that we've got here, of course, and you can see, is the Willys. We chose it, well, primarily, if I'm being honest, because that's the one the wife liked. She loved the color, she loved the options and stuff on it. Actually fell in love with it when she saw it. That was the only one she could have, and I don't think she really even cared. But I know there's a lot of people out there that do. So, what were the results? It says here, the Jeep Wrangler Sahara is the best overall trim for a daily driver. It is specifically engineered to balance the iconic Jeep styling and capability, although they all look pretty much the same, and I would argue that most four-wheel drive Jeeps, I don't think you can even get a Jeep in a two-wheel drive configuration now, but they're all still very capable, right? With maximum on-road comfort and tech refinement. So it's kind of a mix. They're trying to balance everything, I guess, focused more on daily driving. But why? Why is it the best for commuting, which, let's be honest, that's what daily driving is really, right? Number one, it says smoother ride quality. The Sahara features a heavy-duty suspension tuned with gas shocks, specifically for paved roads and highways. It eliminates much of the bouncy, harsh ride characteristic of off-road trims. So, in a nutshell, it's going to give you a more comfortable, smoother ride on the road. Number two, advanced 4x4 tech. It often comes available with the Select Track, or Select, they call it Select. They got rid of the T, but Select Track full-time 4x4 system. That's a mouthful. This allows you to set it and forget it, automatically shifting power to wheels with traction during sudden rain, snow, or slick pavement. That would be nice to have, and it's really kind of like an adaptive, my term, all-wheel drive Jeep Wrangler, I should say. Number three, refined cabin. Standard hood sound insulation reduces highway noise or highway and wind noise. I don't have any insulation on my hood, so everything that's coming out from underneath there, you're going to hear. None whatsoever. And honestly, I didn't know there was a trim level for a Jeep Wrangler that offered hood insulation. It says it also standardizes premium controls like dual zone climate control, proximity keyless entry, and an upgraded infotainment system. All nice things if you're cruising off to work or the grocery store or maybe Lowe's, whatever it is. Number four, efficient engine options. The Sahara relies on standard automatic transmissions and standardizes the PEP of the 2-liter turbo engine. It is also widely available as a 4xe plug-in hybrid, providing short-distance all-electric commuting to save gas in city traffic. That's important these days if you're gas price sensitive, which I don't like to pay any more for gas than I have to. But anyway, as far as the 2.0 liter turbo, you know, before we bought this one, I drove both. I wanted to see what the turbo felt like, the smaller engine, if you will, as compared to the V6 naturally aspirated, which is what we got. And why I did that, the turbo is fine from an acceleration standpoint and a takeoff, but it felt to me like once you exhausted the turbo, if you will, you couldn't get any more out of it. I was wanting more. In other words, when I was driving down the road and wanted to give it more gas, it just didn't have any more to give, where the V6 felt like it did, like it's more powerful, if you will, like it has more at the end than what the turbo did. That's why I went with the V6 naturally aspirated. It appears here that you can't get that in a Sahara. although Jeep seems to change things around a lot, so I wouldn't be surprised if the V6 naturally aspirated isn't available, but according to this, it is not. Now, there are a couple alternate trim levels to consider, lower in price, because the Sahara, of course, is more expensive than these two. You've got the Sport S, something else you might consider as a daily driver. They call it the Budget Balancer. Adds core conveniences like power locks, windows, keyless entry, and advanced adaptive cruise control over the completely bare base Sport, making it highly practical for daily use without the luxury price tag. Of course, you're going to give up some of the extra features and things, but I've actually had the Sport S before on a Jeep Gladiator, and it was perfectly fine. The Willys, interesting. Maybe we did pick the right one. It's the second, I guess, lower budget Jeep, although low budget, it was $4,000, something like that. Anyway, it says here, the Weekend Warrior. Best if you daily drive but intend to go off-roading regularly. It gives you the larger all-terrain tires, a mistake on my part, and a limited slip differential for the dirt, but retains a relatively manageable road manner compared to a heavy Rubicon. I would agree. I think the only downfall for me on this trim level, for us personally, is that we did get the more aggressive, heavier mud terrains, right? They're louder, they're heavier to pull, they reduce gas mileage, they reduce comfort. It is something that we'll be changing out down the road, but it's not horrible, and I do love the looks of them. Now, there is another section here, interestingly, trims to avoid for a daily driver. So again, if you're buying the Jeep Wrangler as a daily, these you might want to stay away from. It says avoid the Rubicon and Rubicon X if you only plan to drive on paved roads. They feature ultra-stiff off-road suspension, electronic locking differentials, and heavy, knobby 35 to 33 or 33 to 35 inch mud tires. So it appears you want to stay away from the Rubicon and the Rubicon X if you're going to be primarily, mostly, using it as a daily driver on paved surfaces. Anyway, I just wanted to run through those options. I know there's a lot of different trim levels and things out there, and it can be confusing, so that's kind of a brief overview, I guess, as to what you can expect and maybe what you should shoot for if you're really not going to be taking it off-road. Leave a comment. Let me know if you agree. I'd be curious to know. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. Bye.